Okay, everybody, Dr. Paul, your quizmaster here, just doing a bit of quiz research this morning. Come up with people surviving assassination. Here's 5 people who survived assassination. Number 1 is Queen Victoria, who was shot at in 1840, 3 separate times in 1842, once in 1872, and once in 1882. She was never hurt. All the people were bad shots or had bad weapons. That's a newspaper from one of the 1842 attempts. The last one on the list, the 1882 one, was a guy called Roderick MacLean, Scottish guy, totally insane. Also a poet. One of the reasons he gave for the attempted assassination, which he said he didn't really mean to kill her, but he did say that he got a rather curt reply to some poetry that he had sent to Queen, so he wasn't happy with that, and never marry a poet, folks. Theodore Roosevelt was the president of the United States. First of all, he's a war hero in the 1880s or 1890s with the American Army. Then he was president for 2 terms. Then he had a rest. 1912, he thought, I'll have another go. I'll have another go at being president. So he went on the campaign, went to Milwaukee, gave a speech. Some guy shot him. The bullet went through Roosevelt's jacket, his glasses case, and also through a rather thick speech, which was in his pocket. You can see the bullet hole here. This may have saved his life because it did pierce his chest, but not so much. You can see the blood there on Roosevelt's shirt. But it didn't pierce his lung, and Roosevelt was a hunter. He knew this. He had diagnosed it. He said, look, I'm not coughing up blood. That means my lung has not been punctured, so I'm going to go ahead and do the speech anyway. So he did do the speech. It was 90 minutes long. So he got shot and gave a 90-minute speech. He also had time to say to the crowd to leave the attacker alone. Don't lynch him. Give him to the police. Don't hurt him. What a guy. Number 3 is Lenin, the winner of the Russian Revolution, which had just been completed 6 weeks before with the killing of the Tsar. 6 weeks after that, he was visiting an arms factory in South Moscow. He got rather closer to some of the weapons than he intended. He was shot 3 times, and he did puncture his lung, so it didn't look so good for him for a while, but he recovered, although people say that the shooting led to the strokes that finally killed him 6 years later and possibly did shorten his life. So, but he survived the initial attempt. One person who never got to find out what happened to him was the assassin, which is this woman, Fanny Kaplan. She pulled the trigger. She thought that Lenin was a traitor to the revolution, but she was shot herself a few days after the assassination attempt, and then her body was put in a barrel, and then the barrel was set on fire just to make sure. Hitler himself was blown up in 1944 by some disgruntled German army types. This is the room after the explosion. There were 24 people in the room. 4 of them died. Hitler was wounded but survived. And the best thing about this is the fact that Hitler's trousers were shredded in the manner of a silent comedy. So when he walked out of there, he was looking a little bit like Buster Keaton, except fascist. Number 5, Martin Luther King, as you know, did get assassinated, but 10 years before his actual assassination, he was stabbed in the chest by a woman called Izola Curry with a steel letter opener, and you can see it in this picture. It's sticking in his chest at this point. He has been stabbed at this point. Now, they moved him to the hospital. They had to be very careful. They kept him. There was people there who realised you didn't just pull the thing out. You got to keep it in, get into the hospital. But they had to move him very gingerly to an ambulance at the back door. He was doing a book signing, by the way, at the time. Later on, King wrote this. He said, the razor tip of the instrument had been touching my aorta, and that my whole chest had to be opened up to extract it. If you had sneezed during all these hours of waiting, Dr. Maynard said, your aorta would have been punctured and you would have drowned in your own blood. So that's a pretty close call for Martin Luther King Jr. at that point, and he did get 10 more years. And there you go. That's people who survived assassinations. 5 quick ones. Hope you enjoyed that. Subscribe if you like it. Come and do the quiz with me sometime. I'm your quizmaster, Dr. Paul. All right. La, da, da,